Court in Thailand has ordered former Prime Minister Yingluck Shinawatra to pay the state more than $300 million for losses incurred from her landmark rice subsidy scheme. This was launched during her time in office. It's a verdict that could have massive ramifications for government policy making going forward. Saksith Saiyasombut explains.
Yingluck Shinawatra served as Thailand's Prime Minister from 2011 to 2014, and the rice pledging scheme was her government's flagship policy. Quite simply, the plan was for the state to buy rice at 50% more than the market rate from rice farmers in an effort to raise revenue for farmers. But not only did that not happen, the government ended up being stuck with an oversupply of rice that it couldn't sell. Still, it had to pay farmers, and that ended up costing Thai taxpayers billions of dollars. The military eventually toppled Ms. Yingluck from power in 2014, and in 2016 ordered her to pay $1 billion, effectively charging her for the financial damages of the policy. Ms. Yingluck questioned the decision to hold her liable for the loss.
ตรงนี้ก็ยังค่อนข้างที่อาจจะยังงงๆอยู่นิดนึงอะค่ะเพราะว่าตัวในเมื่อตัวนโยบายไม่ผิดแล้วก็ข้าวก็ไม่ได้หายผู้ปฏิบัติก็ไม่ได้ผิดฉะนั้นในระดับนโยบายผู้ที่กำหนดนโยบายจะผิดยังไงอะค่ะดิฉันเองก็ยังคงไม่แน่ใจกับตรงนี้ก็คงตั้งข้อสงสัยไว้อะค่ะนะคะเพราะว่าความค่าเสียหายต่างๆเราก็มีเรื่องของสัญญาที่มีการค้ำประกันอยู่แล้วในเรื่องกรณีข้าวเน่าข้าวเสียอะไรต่างๆ
Ms. Yingluck was also charged with negligence over the scheme, and before the verdict was passed back in 2017, she fled the country and has been in self-exile ever since. This latest verdict passed by Thailand's Supreme Administrative Court has revoked that finance ministry order for her to pay over 35 billion baht in damages. It valued the loss to the state at just 20 billion baht and is ordering her to pay 50% of it, 10 billion baht or about $300 million. This verdict is not only a legal defeat for former Prime Minister Yingluck Shinawatra. Coming on the 11th anniversary of the 2014 military coup that toppled her, it is also a setback of a possible return from self-exile. That is something that has been much talked about by her brother Saksith Saiyasombut, himself a former premier, and also the father of the current Prime Minister Paetongtarn Shinawatra. Ms. Yingluck criticized the verdicts, saying in a social media post that if it was considered justice, it is very difficult for her to understand or accept. She also added that the amount is something that she could never repay, even in a lifetime. And her lawyer have told media after the verdict that this isn't the end of the case and that new evidence will be submitted to dispute it. But on a wider scale, this verdict throws up a lot of questions for government policymakers going forward. Is this setting a precedent for governments and leaders to be held liable when policies go sideways? And as Ms. Yingluck noted herself in her social media post, do political parties have to be less ambitious in their campaign promises going forward? In any case, this court verdict adds another layer of uncertainty, not only for one of the most influential political families in Thailand, but also for governance in the country as a whole. Saksith Saiyasombut, CNA Bangkok.